the second video in this series, we'll cover base timings. Base timings are another quintessential part of high-level League of Legends. Many a pro player and many a pro team have been defined by how good their base timings are. Like any of these videos, I can only really scratch the surface of how these concepts work, but I'll basically be ignoring how it works in pro play because there's a lot more that goes into it, and the information that provides for the vast majority of players is really nothing more than a novelty. So tip number 2, solo queue and amateur team base timings. Let's get into it. To start off, there are 3 basic things to consider when resetting. The first is resources. How much health, mana, potions do you have? If you're low and the enemy is coming back, will not resetting put you in a temporary checkmate where you need to reset under tower and lose a wave or 2 in plates? Or will you be okay to face them for the foreseeable future, perhaps until your TP is back up, or at higher elos or organized play when your jungle can help you reset? The second thing to consider is gold. Do you need to spend? If you have push priority, you can make a mental note of how much gold the enemy should have, and reset on a timing where you can get a good item but they can't. A really obvious example of this is a Bork AD carry in bot lane pushing and resetting on Vamp Scepter and forcing an enemy Essence Reaver AD carry into something like double longsword refillable, or basically any non-Lost Chapter mage forcing a Lost Chapter mage into components. Likewise, the Reaver AD carry could base on BS Sword and get a favorable back compared to the Bork AD carry's Vamp plus Longsword, or the Lost Chapter mage could get a favorable base with Chapter. These examples assume equal economy. If you're playing a BF versus BF matchup bot lane, but you're up 15 CS, you could easily base and get a BF to pickaxe advantage. Generally, forcing a trade then resetting is a great way of ensuring your CS lead is leveraged, and is a fundamental of pro play that sees very little use in solo queue despite the concept's relative simplicity. The third main consideration is map pressure. Usually this means vision, but if both teams are vying for control of an objective, and the team with current control resets suboptimally, that can allow the enemy team to move in, take vision control, then look for picks if you try to get it back. This doesn't happen very much in solo queue outside of high-value dragon standoffs, but it's a big thing to consider in organized play. There are a lot more minutiae, like if farming the next wave or leaving it up and insta-resetting is better, if pulling a wave will crash or freeze if you don't reset the creeps, if your team can stall for you during an objective, literally dozens of little points I could bring up. Since I get about 6 viewers and don't get that sweet YouTube revenue though, I'm not going to go through a billion hypothetical scenarios and completely waste your time with 3 10-minute, 7-second videos a week on that just now. Maybe in the future though, make sure to smash that subscribe button, bros. Like anything in League, when and how you set up your reset is all about opportunity cost and risk reward. This means that the optimal base in different elos changes. Let's look at the scenario on my D1 EOS Smurf. I dive the enemy Irelia and have 800 gold after the kill. My initial instinct is to stay. If I were playing against challenger players, it would be to run, as the likelihood of a jungler moving to punish my greed is much higher. If I were lower, I'd probably overstay to get the biggest item lead I could, because the chances of me getting ganked are lower, and the enemy will probably mess up the wave by himself afterwards. I end up thinking better of my initial instincts and run anyway because I know Lee is probably topside after seeing him start Raptors at about 430. This means Raptors Krug's top was likely a path. Also, I had a good gold value at 800, enough for a Kindle gem, which is a great item here. Furthermore, this lets me get back to the freezing lane as opposed to cleanly resetting, which is advantageous given my lead. Notice I'm considering a bunch of different factors and making a decision based off the collective costs and benefits. The next example is of a greedier recall. Using the freeze, I immediately kill the Irelia, who really wants to reset the wave. I back off when I see Lee, having enough gold for double longsword and a clean lane reset. However, my Ocean Potion combo gives me enough HP, I become confident enough to 1v1 the Lee, so I shove the extra wave and get a plate. This gives me enough for a Dirk, but also allows Irelia to cleanly reset the wave. There's more complexity to this. For example, if not greeting and taking the safe recall will put your lane in such a bad position that the game becomes unplayable, you may decide you have to greed even though you're in a pro game and the chance of you getting punished is high. Also, you may take it upon yourself to greed if, for example, your team is in a position to do dragon and the enemy jungle shows topside. You know he is less likely to gank you and give up dragon, and if he does, it's not the end of the world because you secure an objective as a trade. You might be a big shutdown, and even though you doubt you'll die from greeting, it's their only way of making a comeback, so you take a safe reset anyways. Maybe you're 100 gold short of an item, well, all of a sudden greeting is a bit more appealing. So how do you know what's best for you? Well, like most things in League, you stay cognizant of the benefits and costs of your actions, make an informed decision, and then evaluate afterwards and adjust for next time. There's no absolute do X in plat, do Y in silver, just like there are no ways to climb out of each individual rank. I'll make another video ranting about that soon, but the takeaway here is that you need to understand the concept as deeply as you can and apply it intelligently. There is no compartmentalized solution for how to play it in your rank. Like most skills in League, this is a bit of an art. However, that's not an excuse to be blatantly terrible at it and then act like it's just your playstyle. You have TP and decided to shove the wave with 20% HP when you know the enemy jungle is on your side of the map. You're not making a greedy decision, you're inting. If the lane is slow pushing to you and you decide to try to push it to reset, even though you're a Fiora who takes forever to push and you could have just trimmed it and set up a freeze for yourself, you're inting. I'll make another video on that as well now that I think about it, but suffice to say, just because there are multiple things to consider doesn't mean there aren't right and wrong answers. But now you at least know what factors to consider and can hopefully begin to make a more informed decision than you could just a few minutes ago. One more thing, if you feel overwhelmed in game juggling all these things, good. However, don't hesitate too much. Make the decision, then evaluate. Record your gameplay and review. Stay on the side of overwhelmed, that's what it takes. Until next time.